today I want to show you how to do the twice melted wax pendants. And I know I always say this, but I think this is really one of my favorite all-time projects. It just turns out so incredible every time. You get something different every time. So it's a lot of fun. So let's get started and show you how we do it. These are all the different pendants and necklaces and bracelets and all kinds of different fun things that I came up with using the wax as our color base and adding a little bit of glitter. And see how fun they are. And while we've got all the different shapes and sizes, and you can find some of the smaller ones and different ones in the stores, I found some really wonderful ones that we sell at Miriam Joy that I have not found in the stores. These are deeper. We have an oval. We also have a circle, which I've got running around here somewhere. We've got one here to show you, and pendants and a heart. And these are really, really great. They're deeper. Now the pendant is not quite as deep as the other ones are, but they work just as well. So I'm going to show you how to do the basic on these. So let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to mention as well that these are really nice, and they are electroplated, both the pendant and the necklace, and we're selling them as one piece in the store, so you don't have to worry about that, and you just run your chain right through, so they don't need polished, and you're not going to turn green or any fun thing like that. And our pendant is just a separate piece. It's already got the pin on the back, so you can just put that right on. I melt my crayon in my low temp melting pot, and you can find those at miriamjoy.com. I use a Crayola crayon. I break it right about there into two pieces, peel the paper, and put it right in the well and let that warm. And then while it's warming, we're going to use glass eyedroppers, which you can also find on our site. And it's real important that they're glass and not plastic. And you're simply going to set that in the wax in the well, just right like that. And a lot of people want to know how they clean them, and I don't clean mine. I leave one for each color. The one thing that I will do is once I am done with a color is I'll make sure I squish it really well and get as much wax as I can out. You never want to pull the wax all the way up into the bowl, because once the wax dries it hardens, and then it's really hard to get it working again. But they're inexpensive enough that you can do one for each color. So that's kind of the basics on how we're going to start that. And then we're just going to decide what colors we want. And I'm going to work on the circle here. And I'm going to bring and put different waxes together. And some of my favorites are kind of a spring, I guess, color. And see, we're just putting those on anywhere. You want to kind of fill the space up. Now this guy's a little bit deeper, but you don't want it have to come above the sides. That's real important. We'll talk about that kind of at the end when we get done here as well. And you kind of want it to harden if you're going to put a color next to the other one before you put the next one in, if they're touching, because it can run together. So that's kind of important. See how I'm kind of putting them out there, and I'm kind of building it up higher as well. And we may go back and build those even higher if we feel that they're too low. And I've used carnation. This is robin's egg that I'm using now, and I've got carnation pink and yellow green so far. One of my favorite colors to use is dandelion. I'm not really a yellow person, but if you want it to pop, dandelion yellow is the one to bring out. It really just adds so much to a color. And in this one, I noticed I mixed in a little bit of gold metallic And I'm going to show you a metallic crayon in just a second here, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. The metallic crayons give you your shininess, or also your glitter crayons, and they're really great to bring that shine, but they don't give the necklace the bright color that you want. So you always want to do 1 or 2, but no more than that, because it starts to get dull if you do. They don't have that bright color. And I'm going to use Cyber Grape Metallic, which is one of my favorites. I like to use Sunburst Gold a lot, and also the Cyber Grape. And you can see I'm putting quite a bit of different pieces in here. That gives you more of a swirl pattern instead of doing one solid color. Now you can see how low we go down in some of these areas, so I'm going to come back in here. And I'm going to build these up just a little bit. Now see how I said you kind of wanted to let that dry before it touched? See how the gold is running together with the purple right now? You really don't want it to do that. You kind of want it to keep separate. So you should let them cool in between. And you can't really mess this up. If you don't like what you've done, pop it out and start all over. Just take your hobby knife and kind of catch it on the side and pop it right on out. So I think that's not too bad right there. We've kind of got it all pretty well. The one thing I do suggest is letting this all cool, because if I heat it right now, my colors that I just put on are more liquefied than the other ones, and they'll melt faster and take the other ones longer. So if you let them cool off where they're all kind of more the same temperature, they'll have melt more evenly together. The metallics and the glitter crayons do take a little bit longer to melt, but that's okay. While that guy is drying a little bit, I'm going to talk about the pendant. Now if you were working on the pendant, we'd have to set something under this guy to make him even on top. So you'd have to find something the right height to make him stand just straight across. That's real important, especially when you're melting it. And the pendants are really fun. It just takes a tiny bit of wax on those, and see how pretty those are. So those are a lot of fun as well. So this guy should be pretty dry, and I'm going to move him under my heat gun. And I've got my heat gun hanging on a shepherd's hook that I picked up at the craft store in the garden section to hang plants on, and it connects right to my table, so I really like that. Now when I'm working with this, I also love to add a tiny bit of glitter, and I'm a glitterholic, I know that. So I've kind of got purple going, I'm going to add a little bit of more purple, and I'm going to use fine. You can use tencel glitter, you can use micro beads, any of that. But I like the glitters where I can grab it with my fingers and sprinkle it on just certain areas, not the whole area. And another tool that we'll be using, and this is our brand new tool. This is our itty bitty, and it's the smallest of our wax design tools, and I love to use it when I'm working with these because we can move things around. And it's almost better to move around less than more. And you could even heat it and not move it around. So I'm going to turn my embossing gun on, and I may need to pull it down a little bit lower here. If you don't have a hook, that's fine. You can simply do it by holding it with your hand, but I like to hold it on a hook, so when I just want to let go of it and move stuff, I can. And always kind of start on the outside edges first. And you can see when I got it closer, it started blowing there, so that may be a reason you want to keep it higher. If you didn't want to blow as much, you can keep it up higher there. And I'm going to blow that, get it nice and warm all the way around. It's starting to melt. And I've also got my tool laying next to it so that it is also warming. Now unfortunately my tray is kind of got a bubble there, so it's not quite as even. Now you can see we're starting to get really melty there, but the green is not melted as much as the other colors still. You can see that. So I'm just trying to melt it without moving it too much. And you can move it around with the embossing tool, and however you want to do that, that's fine. So now I'm going to make sure this guy's warm. I moved him out of the way. I shouldn't have. And we're just going to start moving these however you want to do these. And a lot of times if I notice that I have less of a color, it's not showing up as much, I'll pull that color out. And you can bring it in a swirl. You can do all kinds of fun things with it. And like I said, I think it's almost better to do less than more. And now I'm going to, while it's still nice and warm, I'm going to put a little bit of purple, and I'm going to try and keep it more just in the purple areas. Not much at all, just a little bit. Now I notice this guy is, like I said, my table is not quite even. And I did notice too when I'm setting it down that the bell on that is just a little bit below that. So set it on your table where it's nice and flat and hang that over the edge, and then that'll even out a little bit more. You also can set that glitter in just a tad if you're afraid it's going to come off, just by heating that just a little bit more. If you don't like it, I'll show you what you can do with that. But see how fun that is, and every time they're different. This is one of my just favorite things. I could sit and work on these all day long. They're just so much fun. So if you don't like one that you've done, you're just going to let it cool all the way off, and you could either use your tool or you could use your hobby knife, and it will just pop right out. So that's why it's really, really important that we were talking about on not having this reach the outside edges. And if you do get any along the outside edges, take your knife and scrape that off, and then we're going to come back in and we're going to cover it. And we can use different things to cover it. We've got 3D crystal lacquer and we've got Mod Podge. You may find that you prefer one over the other. The Mod Podge is supposed to be a little bit more heavy duty, so you could use that one if you prefer. So, but the crystal lacquer, I did a few of them with the crystal lacquer as well. So that's the reason we do not want the wax above, is we have to make sure that the crystal lacquer or the Mod Podge touches the metal. If it doesn't touch the metal, it's not going to seal the wax completely, and it's real important that we get a nice heavy coat on this so that the wax is sealed completely and it doesn't melt if somebody was wearing it and go anywhere. So that's real important. And I start around the edges, make sure we're touching that metal, and just work your way in, and it's going to be a nice thick coat. If you have any bubbles, you can usually get them out with a pin, a straight pin, or come out. Sometimes you can just grab them and they'll come out. And we're just going to keep going around and around. Now you can see my wax actually goes down in, but that's okay because this is where the coat on top is going to cover all of that up. So then you would just let that completely dry, and that's going to take a while, probably overnight, if not longer, and just make sure it's nice and flat. And then once that's dry, all you're going to do is take your chain and run it through, and you have a necklace. And these are really great for Halloween, Christmas. I've got some Christmas colors here. I've got kind of a Halloween one here. So there's all kinds of fun things you can do. It's just unlimited. And you can see we literally made this necklace in a matter of minutes. All we need now is our dry time. So this is just a real fun project to do, and you can do it with others as well. If you need any of the necklace sets, those are on our website at miriamjoy.com, and we'll be bringing you the, like we talked about, the oval, the circle, the fancy pendant, as well as the one that you pin on, and the heart. I forgot the little heart here. So there's so much that you can do with that. If you enjoyed our video today, come on over to miriamjoy.com, where we've done a class DVD on the twice melted wax necklaces. And if you think that's easy to say, try it a few times. And there's Christmas ones, Halloween ones. We've got, shows you how to do a stone, and we've also got kind of an oriental one there for you. So check those out. They're a lot of fun. I'm sure you're going to get as addicted as I did.